Texas Tech. In a 3, a 2, a 1. Chris, negative recruiting, something often discussed, I think, by fans out there over the years. So the question from Lewis was about, over time, what have you actually known to be there from that perspective in whatever sport, any memorable stories or things like that? And in this new era, do you think it increases? Does it lessen as now you got financial things, I guess, to discuss? Does it stay the same? What do you think?
Oh no, it's quite prevalent. Year to year results get brought up. Your location gets brought up. Your inability to win a conference championship or anything of substance in recent memory gets brought up. I think your portal additions get brought up from the standpoint of, you're a young guy, why do you want to go there? Like, they're going to recruit over you as soon as, like, they're going to go, bring in a bunch of older guys right on top of you. And so you're just kind of wasting your time. Whereas if you come here, man, we're not going to do that. I mean, it's pick your poison. Even and Joey's actually the one that brought this up, but even Joey was being negatively recruited from the standpoint of, he's not going to be there. He's looking to get out. Mm-hmm. To which Joey was like, what is somebody even thinking by suggesting that? And he's like, so I called this player and these parents, and I'm like, look, I don't think you people understand. Like, I'm not going anywhere, But so it's as much of a thing now as it ever was, and I think if anything now, there's probably more things to point to.
More ammo.
For the opposition, if that's what somebody wants to do. Some schools don't really operate that way, and like maybe an opposing head coach, maybe he's not doing that, but the assistant coach is dealing with the player, is firing off all kinds of things. He's printing off everything that they find on Twitter, or I mean, I've even known of this is true. I've even known of fake tweets that were out there that were totally made up, that were totally put together with Photoshop or whatever you want to come up with, and shown to players that would have portrayed a coach or a school in a not a very stellar light, and so it all's fair, I guess, but I mean it's an interesting industry for sure.
To say the least. Okay, that doesn't give me a whole lot of hope that it was overblown over the years by fans or things. I hope you're kind of hoping you're going to say, it's probably exaggerated. No, it's prevalent, I think is what you said, prevalent immediately. So, okay, good to know. You want to talk about things that you'd like to observe. We were talking about that yesterday. As say a program was hosting visitors during the portal window. You'd like to have a bead on their communication, what's happening, the ebb and flow. I wouldn't mind having that as well, as far as negative recruiting, positive recruiting, anything in between. What a reality show, right? If you actually got to have a look on the inside. Let's see here. Thank you for that question. This question coming from Derek. How are we really feeling about Sheil Wood as the defensive coordinator? We spent some time talking offense a little bit earlier. He's asking, do we expect to be improved purely because of the players that have been brought in? What do you think about his actual coaching ability and sort of the coach him up factor in it all?
And this is about Sheil Wood. Did I hear you right?
Yeah.
I think he's a ball coach, man. I think he's got his jaw locked. I think that he's got a small sample size, but he's been able to, at places where he's been, do more with less. Now he's got a lot. He's got a lot, and let's hope he does a lot with a lot. But no, I'm genuinely excited about watching his side of the ball this year for the first time in a long time. I loved Tim, and I think that he coached good defense here. They went young last year; it just didn't work. I think the criticism was, maybe we're trying to throw too much, because Tim really tried to out-scheme people. I mean, he tried to create an advantage. And I think sometimes with youth, you get confused, or guy just can't do all that's being asked, and so you got a really athletic guy over there that really can't help you because he can't grasp it all. I think Coach Wood is, and I need to be around this and kind of soak it in a bit to really get a full grasp, but I think he's, and I've used this word, and it's not the right word, but it's just it's simpler, but it's very effective. And when you've got good players, you don't have to, create a bunch of chaos. You just turn them loose. I mean, ideally, this is what, we've heard these conversations about, like, hey man, when David Bailey got in the portal, James Blanchard walked into Joey's office and was like, what would the Eagles do? They'd add another defensive lineman. Okay, well, if you watch the Eagles play this past year or in the Super Bowl, they rushed 4 and just caused all kinds of chaos. You got Pat Mahomes, just the best quarterback on the planet, can't really do anything. He has no time to react and see and scramble and extend the play because he's just got people on top of him immediately. And it was for a full 60 minutes, it felt like. And so ideally, if you're Shield Wood, if your group is like what we think, you don't have to run a bunch of twists and stunts and blitz packages and this and that. You're going to do that, but you may not have to. And then you're really a problem for people if you are causing all kinds of problems with minimal assets being utilized up front, and you've got all these long athletic guys in the back end and a heat-seeking missile like Jacob Rodriguez that knows where to go find the ball with a clear picture in front of him, and that's the way it should work. And so Coach Wood's job is really to put the right pieces in place, not necessarily get in the way, but put in just enough to where we kind of learn as we go, and we add things in as we go. But his players may be so good that you don't have to see some exotic scheme. And I think Tim's stuff was pretty. It was impressive. I'm like, wow, this is a lot. And I think sometimes guys, you miss the word violet in a call, and you're like, well, I thought you had that guy, and then he's running 85 yards down the, whatever. So hopefully that is mitigated on what you're trying to get done here. But no, I think you hired a really good coordinator, man. I really do. Tulane, Houston, proof is there. Just got to go do it again.
I'm going to say in that case, too, that coverage bust, the word should have never been violet to begin with. That's just not a violent word. So I'm going to put that more so on the call.
I have no way of knowing.
Violet.
That's what, they use colors, they use states.
You got to love it.
Yeah,
all right.
That's right.
Thank you for that question. This one from Kalen: with all the non-con talk, have there actually been any discussions or efforting of these Power 4 conference matchups from a tech standpoint in the future that you know of, beyond obviously what's already been announced? Or is it mostly just kind of pipe dream stuff right now?
Oh, I think there's been some engagement now. I think that whether it's conference-wide or school to school, the problem you often have here is it just, you can want all you want. You can prefer that we do this all you want. Somebody else has got to be willing to play ball. And not everybody has openings. Not everybody feels the same way about where their program is versus yours. It's just a bit of a trickier dynamic, than to just kind of say, hey, let's do it, But I think there's been some, and Joey's not, he's smart when he says that he's like, I'd love to play LSU. I think that he's being extremely authentic there. I doubt that LSU reciprocates that. They don't necessarily need to. That's the tricky part about this deal.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that question. This one from Jarrett. Based off a recent Instagram post, is Darion Williams salty toward Grant McCaslin? Chris, are you locked into the most recent Instagram happenings?
Yeah. So what did it say? So I want to make sure
I think it was the placement of a heart emoji. Breaking news over Grant McCaslin in a team picture featuring Darion Williams. Scandalous.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody, had a clear picture of kind of what was. I can't say yes or no. I would say, and at some point we'll be able to tell that story in full. I mean, I have zero reason to think that Grant McCaslin did Darion Williams wrong in any way at all. I think that when you're calling somebody before the portal opens and you're begging them to get on the phone with you and talk it out, and the player says repeatedly, talk to my agent. I'm not, I'm going to the NBA. That's what I've been told, and blah 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 blah. I mean, this is going on, and I think you really had a coach trying to get his roster figured out, and time was of the essence, as we know. And then when it's like, hey man, okay, we're gonna have to pivot here if we can't. Okay, well, and just because that things didn't necessarily go the way that maybe the player thought they would, and I hate doing this like this, but he went to the NBA and then it wants to return back, and I do think his heart was in the right place in that he genuinely wanted to come back here. But I think that ship had sailed. The roster had been put together. Resources had been allocated. And
what a wild set of circumstances.
Yeah,
to have a first team all conference guy depart,
especially such a fan favorite. Yeah, a fan favorite, and somebody that I think that you're going to see people say he's going to be the ACC preseason player of the year. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. But I think Darion Williams would tell you too. He was guilty, much like Micah Hudson was. And I'm not saying Grant or Tech was perfect and whatever. I don't know that. I just know that set of circumstances. But I think Darion Williams came to the realization I may have been listening to the wrong people, and I shouldn't have done that. And I will try to be differently going forward. But at that point, it was the water was under the bridge. But at some point, yeah, we'll maybe tell that story in full and all that stuff. But I hope there's no ill will. The whole thing sucks, but it is what it is, man. Like the timing was the timing, and you have to do what is best for Texas Tech basketball on that day, and you've got to have. There's money involved. There's spots. There's roles. There's potential options, and then those were dwindling or only so many available. There was all kinds of moving targets, but Texas Tech sent out people to the NBA draft combine to go support Chance and Darion throughout that process. So
yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any ill will at all, but I would certainly hope not. But I wish not. I'm glad that Darion is in a different league. I don't want Tech to play NC State anymore. I think he did a lot of great things here. He was doing what was best for him at the time that all this was playing out, and he's allowed to do that. But so was Texas Tech. So there can't be any revisionist history and selective memory on kind of how this played out. But maybe somebody said something they shouldn't have, and maybe feelings are hurt. I have no idea. But I hope that is not the case.
This is why we should be handlers, Chris. I was saying yesterday, let's go out and get us an up-and-comer. Let's be handlers. Let's take on a player. Because if there was any bad advice given, it was the opposite of what we were given. Because at that time, we were sitting here sort of befuddled, like, well, I know the most lucrative immediate spot for him is within college basketball. And, so just dial into Locked On Texas Tech. Anybody out there that's a great athlete, potential conference players of the year, join the Locked On Texas Tech fan family. Handlers looking for a great athlete to handle. We want a crew. We're looking to establish one. It seems like anybody can do it, so we're throwing our hat in the ring. Let's wrap it up. What they've all been waiting on. This is a little bit of a lengthy list here of those I got to shout out, Chris. I got to shout out Frank. I got to shout out Hayden, Zachary, Ben, Thomas, Travis, Andrew, Greg, And I've also got Eric on the list here, weighing in not only on the one, the only Ben Henschel, also a couple of Jalen Petty mentions as well. So those names or any others on the Red Raider Hoops radar right now?
Yeah, Jalen Petty's still very much in play. I think as an option. I was even asked this past week, "Is he already even here?" It's just funny how stuff flies around like that. But as far as Ben Henschel, I'm to the point where I think, unfortunately, I think the eligibility component here is going to be too much to overcome. I don't want to talk in absolutes. It's just been portrayed to me that this may be a darn near impossibility. And whether that is like they just didn't know what they didn't know at the time, or they thought they knew something different, or they thought they could work their way through, or the talent is so much that we got an in, let's run out the ground ball until somebody says King's X, it's not going to happen. And that may be where maybe that's where you're at right now. I don't know, but I'm highly doubtful of that one. Jalen Petty, I think that seems promising. And then for anybody curious about what about door number 3, is there any other option? How many more spots do you have available? Yeah, there would still be another spot or two. And then you get into, okay, am I just trying to fill a spot? Do I want to hold one? What exactly does it all look like? So minus Ben Henschel, I think that, and I don't think Jalen Petty is one that, if you add him, I don't think he's one that you would say, oh yeah, immediately can contribute type guy. Maybe, okay. I don't want to maybe you've got some Christian Anderson in him. I would point to Nolan Groves as because I think that we didn't probably focus on it at the time when he was added, because Ben Henschel was still so heavily in play and you were kind of focused on that. And so Nolan Groves was a bit under the radar. But I mean, I think when they took Nolan Groves, the 6'4", 6'5" guard from Minnesota, I think everybody internally felt, oh, this is a guy that will play as a true freshman. And he's been here. And he may get the Christian Anderson treatment. He's a combo guard. He's exactly kind of what you're looking for. It's a lot to ask a true sophomore and a true freshman to kind of handle a lot of the ball handling duties, but also would offer up that, and this is Grant's own words, I do think he's going to use Lawan Watts heavily in a ball handling capacity as well, much like he did Darion Williams, but I would even say potentially even more so. And then Grant's going to have a much better feel for Tyree Bryan and everybody else that you added on the wing. But that's kind of what it looks like right now. But we'll see. Don't get yourself worked up. Don't get yourself panicked or super excited or whatever, and feeling like what the roster will look like until first day of classes in August, which is about 4 to 5 weeks away, I guess, from right now.
My boy Ben Henschel. I hate goodbyes. How do I say goodbye to an Australian figment of my imagination? Was he ever a real man? I guess I'll never know. And who is bringing up eligibility at a time like this? Nobody's bringing up free throws in the biology lab. This is what happens when worlds collide. There needs to be a clear distinction between playing school and playing sports, Chris.
And if it is an eligibility issue that you just cannot overcome, somebody has failed this young man. I mean, it has cost him a lot of money, because the Big 12 and Texas Tech and all that is so much better for the NBA part of things. And what he could have made versus what he will make in Perth, if that's the way this plays out, are very different numbers. So, yeah.
How do we wrap that one up? We say to Ben for one final time, good day, mate. Good day, mate. All right. Great stuff, Chris. Appreciate you emptying the bucket there as always, and some extra time as well. Thank you for that. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you on the other side, taking us 1 week closer to fall camp and an honest to goodness kickoff, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, team reports in less than 2 weeks. Keep hope alive, people. We'll, I guess, technically, next week is really the last week of the offseason, if that's the way you want to look at it. So we will celebrate it. I'm not sure how, but we will celebrate our last week of the offseason doing these shows every day. How about that?
It's going to be serious season on the other side of that. Time to strap her in, boys. All right. Thank you for being out there, and thanks for all the questions. Appreciate the Matador Mobsters as always. Keep them coming. Any subject, anytime. Appreciate you keeping that mailbag always full. Hope you guys and gals all have a great weekend as well. For Chris, I'm Casey, and we'll catch you on the other side.